Hello, and welcome to Brand Clarity by Visions to Images, where we focus on strategy and business development for entrepreneurs at all different levels through branding and digital marketing techniques. Susie Liberatore is the founder and art director of Visions to Images Creative Services, LLC. For the last decade, she has personally been instrumental in bridging gaps between the global digital market and neighborhood locations for some of the biggest brands around. Growth is possible for even a single location with the right professional branding techniques and Susie's signature strategies of Visions to Images. Stand out from your competitors and bring your visions to life while watching your sales skyrocket. Your host for this is Susie Liberatore, owner of Visions to Images. Hello, everybody. Today I have Luke Frey on the podcast. He owns Bella Vista. However, I'm not saying it right, so he can tell you the correct way. But he does franchisees coaching. So he really helps franchisees kind of get their stuff in line and get it going. And I'm excited to chat with him. Obviously, as you all know, we are really niching down into the franchise industry and market. So I'm excited to have him on today as a guest.
Well, thank you for having me, Susie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And basically what I do is I help franchisees develop their CEO skills.
Yeah. So tell me how you do say your name, the business name.
It's Bella Vista. It was a street that my family and I lived on in Honduras when I was assigned there for 3 years.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. That's really good. I like it. I like the name and the meaning behind it. Perfect.
That was cool.
So tell me how you've gotten started in this field. I know you have an incredible background. It's got to mean something to be in the franchise industry to you. Why did you choose that, et cetera?
It does. Well, after a brief 6-year career in the corporate world as an industrial engineer, I was working for someone called Image First, the Bursteins, as a father and son. And Philadelphia wasn't working out for my family, so we decided to move back to Cincinnati. They offered me their first franchise, so I took it. Mm-hmm. And I was a franchisee with them until 2018 and sold that. And we sold it because the franchisor was purchased by a private equity fund. Mm-hmm. So all of the franchises were purchased back at the agreed amount in the initial contract. During that time, I was also a fire chief. So I learned leadership skills that were transferable between the fire and the business world. And this seemed just like the next logical, natural step. And I'm having a blast doing this. I am having so much fun talking with people like you.
Oh, thanks. Same. I love talking with anybody in the franchise industry. So this is always exciting. So what do you kind of help franchisees do? I'm curious.
As a first franchisee, I had to set up a lot of systems because I was not their ideal franchisee. Mm-hmm. Their ideal franchisee already had a laundry set up, so they had the capital and they had the equipment. Maybe they have extra capacity and just wanted to get into the healthcare laundry business.
Right.
I had none of that, so I had to set up different systems from the operations manual. I can help franchisees, especially first franchisees, do that. And then the leadership skills from being a fire chief, we were able to take a group of 25, what I would call volunteer department. Sometimes gets a bad name, but it had that reputation. The surrounding communities and departments wouldn't call us in to help. It was very territorial.
Yeah.
And once I was asked to be chief, we expanded that. I networked with the other chiefs and started going to their monthly meetings. And we actually grew the department from 25 when I started to 50 people when I retired. And we transformed basically from volunteer organization to 50 unpaid professionals. We were called in. All of our neighboring departments had us on their first alarm clock cards by the time I left. So it was a great experience. And that's transferable into all types of leadership. And franchisees are CEOs.
Right. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you said that, though, because I feel like so many people don't understand that franchisees have such a great name and hold a high value. I mean, part of the reason why we actually niched down in the franchise industry was because people during the pandemic said, I want to support small businesses, not big names. And I was like, well, hold on a second. That's not true. Like, all of these big names are still small business owners. They're still neighbors. They're still locally owned and operated, and they're giving back to the community and doing so much. So like, they're still a CEO, they're still a business owner. They just have a different name with it.
Exactly. I break them out into franchise owners into three broad general categories. You have one that wants to be an owner operator, and they're real happy being an owner operator. They love getting dirty. They love getting in the muck. And that's wonderful. My services aren't going to help them a whole lot.
Right.
Then you have another group of franchise owners. They want to grow. They know how to get there. They just want a sounding board. They want accountability piece. Sure. And that's where I come in. And then you have another group of franchise owners. They want to grow. They're young. Right. They're hungry. They just don't quite know how to get there. Mm-hmm. And that's where my services would be the best effective.
Hey there, I want to interrupt this episode with a quick message. If you're listening to this podcast episode and want to learn about branding your franchise or small business, then go to brandingbridge.com. That's branding-bridge.com.
You nailed it, right? Like, that's essentially what we all feel too. When you're wanting to really, truly grow and have that help and support, that's when we step in as well for marketing and stuff.
Absolutely. We're complementary type services for franchisees.
So tell me kind of what you're most excited about. I know you have some great stuff up your sleeve. What are you excited about currently?
Well, I'm really excited about the Franchisee Advanced Leadership Center. We will begin our group meetings on June 15th.
Nice.
Yeah, it's excellent. And it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm being very selective on who comes in. Sure. And it's franchise owners with 2 to 12 years of business under their belt. I think it's a good melting of the different stages of growth in a franchise business.
Right.
That's a 3-hour meeting where we throw around high level topics and discuss, debate, and learn from each other. Basically, it's a personal board of directors.
Yeah.
And then along with that, there's one-on-one mentoring with me.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So,
yeah, I love when people really come together as a group, right? Like, there's so much talk about masterminds and conferences and conventions and all that. But when you really can create a group that's powerful, you can get so much out of it. And I love that you said like debate and talk about things, because as business owners, especially myself, like I found so many times that I needed to just vent and get advice, or just let somebody tell me, no, you're overthinking it, go back and just, you're fine. Like all of those little things, like that's what we need. And those groups are so powerful for that.
Absolutely. And I was thinking back on my ownership days, and yeah, I had managerial background to an extent. This would have been outstanding. And I've already worked through the numbers of how much money I left on the table, but that's not here or there. And if I can help other people get there, that's a great thing to do.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I love your energy. You're just so smart and talented with this, and you're just very positive.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So if you had any advice to give somebody, whether they're kind of just starting off being a franchisee, what kind of advice would you give them?
That is a great question.
Yeah, thanks.
And what's going through my mind is, what advice would the me now give the younger me back then?
Right.
And it would be to make sure you make it a habit to develop your own personal leadership skills on a weekly basis. It has to be a habit. Going to a conference every once in a while doesn't work. Going to your franchise annual meeting in Las Vegas, it's great for that week, but it doesn't work. Personal development has to be a habit, just like going to the gym or brushing your teeth.
So what kind of personal development would you recommend then for these franchisees?
Number one, the easiest is reading. Pick a book and make it a habit to read an hour every morning or a half hour, whatever you can fit in. But that's key. to me, the personal development isn't only key to be more effective as a leader and the CEO of your franchise, it also keeps your energy level up. It keeps you learning new things. It keeps you engaged in the business. There's just so many other peripheral benefits that go along with it.
No, I completely agree. And like sometimes when I'm in masterminds and stuff, they go back to that. Like, what's your personal development? What are your personal goals? How do those goals fit into your business? And how can we utilize all of it? I mean, I was at the Vegas conference with one of my sales coaches, and there was a lot of business, but at the same time there was some personal development. And it's like, how do I take that and implement it in my life, right? Like, I need to be able, I was energized after this conference, but like you said, it's only going to last so long. What do I need to take away from it? What do I need to do to improve myself each and every day? And it's not always, there's so many different ways for personal development. So you have to find what works for you and what is really going to be good for you, and keep yourself accountable to it. Like I literally came back and kind of said, okay, I'm going to have a CEO day once a month. I have marketing stuff. And this isn't necessarily personal development, but in a sense, like it was these things that I was holding myself accountable for. Like the CEO day, I can go and do personal development. I can go have a self-care day. I can do what I need to do to re-energize, but also listening to more podcasts, reading those books, hanging out with more like-minded people, like even in the mastermind, I still gain so much personal knowledge and see what other people are doing and how they're doing their daily list and tasks and everything.
Mm-hmm. And I find just getting other viewpoints gets me to thinking. I might not change my mind, right? But at least I've looked at a certain issue from a different angle and said, okay, check that one off the list. I've been involved with the Center for Executive Coaching for a little over a year now, and I'm gaining all kinds of knowledge in how to ask the right questions, when to ask the right questions, right? How to just have a conversation like you and I are having right now,
right?
And have both of us thinking a little bit.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Yeah, we both have to think all the time. That's part of life and learning and growing, right? Like we always can take something from what somebody's saying. But I think, like you said, like that accountability and that soundboard is just so huge and powerful, because as business owners, we can get caught up in so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, I won't even say the cliche.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And if people want to find you, how can they find you?
My email address is Luke@Bella Vista, BellaVista, executiveadvisors.com. And my phone number is 513-615-6750.
Perfect. All right. Well, and I'll put your contact information in the chat as well, and we'll get this up and going. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, Susie. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for listening in on today's Brand Clarity episode with Susie Liberatore. 2 things. First and foremost, please, if you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave some positive reviews. Also, don't forget to sign up for Stop Sending Your Customers to the Competition and get my insider secrets to compelling branding that converts. You can find that at branding-bridge.com. It's a free workbook for you to check out right now. All of the branding techniques and strategies that I use for my paying clients.